Okay guys, welcome back to part 3 of Kubernetes from scratch. Today we are going to be expanding upon the cluster that we built in part 2, and we are going to actually use the Helm Kubernetes package management system to provision ourselves some new services. Helm is going to allow us to very simply and easily install predefined package sets or deployments into our Kubernetes cluster and have everything taken care of for us out of the box. So let's dig in. We are in our cluster from the previous video, and a couple of steps that we're going to have to do here. So the very first one is we are going to, in our terminal here, we're going to install the Helm command line tool onto our host VM because the micro Kubernetes Helm is a little bit broken. So to do that, we're going to use snap. So sudo snap install Helm. And it is a classic installation that has normal file permissions. So we'll have to use the -- classic flag. And it is going to install this, snap, mount it, and make it available for us to use. Now we can try Helm init. But that's not going to work. So the very first thing we're going to need to do after that is using micro Kubernetes enable Helm. And then use the Helm package to init. And we'll do -- upgrade because I messed around with this a little bit beforehand. And now we reach our first error here. So the first thing we're going to have to do is make a directory of .cube. So that's already there. And we'll use the micro Kubernetes config command to output to .cube. And the file name will be config. Now we can do Helm list, and we can see that we have, of course, nothing installed in the Helm releases. Now we can quite simply go over to helm.sh in a web browser and look at the charts directory. And it is a massive, massive list of charts that have become available. This used to be only about 30 or 40 long, and now it is actually so long that it goes on for quite a while. And all of these packages are not necessarily 100% tested, but they'll at least let you start experimenting with things. Like if you wanted to install Turtle, for instance, you could do that. But we're going to do an InfluxDB chart here. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to quite simply paste these two lines. And on this one I recommend that we change this to something other than my release, like influx test. and we'll hit enter, and it will go ahead and provision everything necessary onto the Kubernetes cluster. And we can look over here in our dashboard, and we can see that this is going to be in an error state for a little while here. And the main goal of this is to just let it ride out until it can actually bring these pods online. We could take a look at what all has been added in this deployment. We have a replica set that has one copy inside of there, and a replica set will actually enable us to start up one of these influx DBs on every one of the nodes that we have. Seeing as we only have one, we have exactly one. There's some labels, which you can do some research on labels and annotations and what you can do with those. And we have our internal services, so we can see how to actually get to that. You can use this name in any other pod, and it will actually return the cluster IP here through a DNS lookup. So if you standardize the way you name things, like if we did influx production dash influx DB, you could use that in your software, and when you provision it to the Kubernetes cluster, nothing would have to know in advance where anything is. We can see here that we have some persistent volume claims, and it's got an 8 gigabyte PVC, and that persistent volume claim is tied to a persistent volume, which is actually a pretty much a folder on the host that allows that pod to store data. Because without that, as soon as the pod deletes or gets rebuilt, all the data would go away. And now our deployment is healthy and alive. So we can actually start looking at what this had here. So we can copy these two lines. Same path as path of thought as the Helm install. We're going to use snap to install kube control client onto the actual host, so we can stop using the built-in helpers from micro Kubernetes. And then we can use this second line here and it'll take it a couple of seconds to actually connect to the InfluxDB shell, but here we have it. We have now connected to the InfluxDB server that we installed with Helm. And now that that client pod has been deleted, what we can do is we can do helm list helm uninstall influx test, and it is like it was never there. I hope this was a little bit informative, and I hope that this helped you out with a few other concepts as to what we're doing here. And I highly recommend you go to kubernetes.io and give your head a little bit of a stretch today.